What's going on, guys? I'm back with another one. That's right. And I just watched a movie called Happily, starring Joel McHale, Carrie B. Shea, and Stephen Root. First of all, for those who are wondering, you need wonder no more. Yes, I will be doing the review for the Zack Snyder cut. I wasn't going to do it at first. I really wasn't. I don't even know if I cared at first. But I realized it's something I must do. It is necessary that I get it done. Alright? It's very necessary that I do this and get it out the way. I just need to watch the first one again. And then watch the cut so I can have a little comparison going on here. But don't worry, it's coming soon. Just have some patience. And it'll be here. Second of all, let's talk about modern relationships. Okay? And in other words, let's talk about toxic relationships. Because that's all modern relationships are now. Thanks to 2015. Yes, I blame 2015. I blame a whole year because that's when social media started to get a little crazy. All right. And along with that craziness, relationships were messed up. Okay. It might have happened a little earlier than that. Who knows right now. But I'm saying 2015 was the year. All right. And yes, through the years, there's been a few movies that have depicted that. But no other movie is supposed to depict that as good as Happily. And that's the question. Will Happily be the one to show what toxic relationships really are about? Or is this just going to lose you completely? Let's find out right now. Happily, for those who don't know, for those who are not aware, and I'm absolutely positive you're not aware of this one either. A lot of these movies are just sneaking up on me now. Alright, these movies come out of nowhere, but I see the trailer for this one. I had to do it. Alright, I had to do that. Happily. It's pretty much about a couple named Tom and Janet. Now, Tom and Janet are very much in love, right? Always kissing on each other, having sex probably about 6 times a day. Alright. And they've been together for 14 long years. So, this is spectacular. Now, this seems like the relationship you want, right? Not in the eyes of their bitter friends, right? Their bitter friends see this as sick and disgusting because this is not how normal people act. All right? And they're tired of it. They're tired of just how in love Tom and Janet are. So one day they decide to tell them to their face, you are no longer invited to our couple retreats. Alright? And they uninvite them right there in a very rude manner because they feel they are so right for doing this. Then something happens. While Tom and Janet are at the house trying to figure out just why their friends hate them so much, they get a knock at the door from a guy named Mr. Goodman. Looks like a door-to-door vacuum salesman or something like that. He says he works for the city. Gets his way in, reveals that he lied about that, slams his suitcase on the table, opens it up, and there are 2 syringes in the suitcase with green serum in it or whatever. He tells them, today, I'm going to make sure you guys are normal. A normal couple who has fights, who has conflict, who doesn't just argue for 10 seconds and let it go. All right? You are 2 abnormal people in a couple. And, of course, Janet and Tom feel threatened by this. They don't know what to do. They panic. And all of a sudden, Janet makes the random move to hit Mr. Goodman with a blunt object. And it supposedly kills him. Right? Now they're wondering, is this a prank? Did one of our friends prank us and we took it too far? Because they had to bury this man. All of a sudden, their friends re-invite them back to the couples retreat. And of course, I had to, without sounding too cliche, yes, the plot thickens. And now they must figure out why they even have been invited back. And that's the premise of the movie. Okay? A lot going on here. A lot going on in this movie. Positives. I, first of all, just congratulate this movie for even going the way that it went. All right? The concept with this, it's pretty much an anti-rom-com. You know, usually in a rom-com, the relationship and how much in love they are, it's supposed to be cute and funny to everybody else. And everybody, they want to be this couple. Not in this movie. This is the total opposite. This is the anti-rom-com. People in this movie do not want to be like this couple. They are sickened by this couple. When I think in reality, this couple just makes them feel ashamed of how messed up they are. But in their where they see it, they just can't stand this too perfect type of couple. All right, and I've never seen any other movie go this route or do this, and I appreciate that. Okay, because that is different. That is very different in which the path they went with the humor, especially, and that's what I'm about to get into next. The brand of humor that was used, especially how judgmental and how hateful the other couples were towards Tom and Janet. They were very rude and mean to these people. Like, these people were like serial killers or something. They couldn't stand Tom and Janet. And it was hilarious. It was hilarious how they treated them, how they just despised them, when in reality they are the terrible people, not Tom and Janet. So I laughed. I really had to laugh at that. Like, the irony with this movie, so crazy. That is so crazy. Another thing that I enjoyed about this, the change of tone. Now, some people might not be able to roll with that because it starts off as a comedy, all right, like a somewhat dark humor. But then it gets a little darker to the point where there's barely any humor at all. They're just trying to get down to the mystery of it all, right? But what I appreciate is that there's still little sprinkles and drops of humor. That way you don't lose interest in what you're watching. And I definitely did not lose interest. I'm going to give it that. I'm going to give it that. I was not bored with this movie. No matter what else I might say in this negative zone, this movie did not make me fall asleep. All right. Now let's get to the negatives, because this must be said. My first big negative I have to say about this, and this is in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling anything. They mentioned the serum needles. All right. They mentioned all that. They showed it in the trailer. There's a confusion about what the serum really does in the movie. I can't explain any further because then I really would be spoiling it. But just know that the plot with the serum is very confusing. I did not get what really was going on with that. The explanation even given for it was it's all over the place. You probably have to rewind it a couple of times and still wouldn't get what happened with that serum and those needles. Okay? That's one point that I couldn't stand. Another negative for this movie, at a certain point, this movie, it just didn't know what direction it wanted to go. Especially getting towards the end. All right, it started to just go all over the place. All right, it was confused. The plot was scattered. Okay, I think that they ran out of ideas towards the end for a big conclusion, and they just threw everything on the table. All right, because it made no sense. It was almost anticlimactic. All right, it really didn't. It didn't give me anything towards the end. It didn't give me a lot to go on. All right, things just happened. The music at the end was horrible. I could not stand it. You know, it's a time where, you know, all the couples have to reflect on their relationships, and you know how that goes toward the end of the movie. And there's music playing through this whole scene that they really did not have to play. You know how I enjoyed the music on Come True? That's the total opposite of what happens at the end of this movie. I did not enjoy the music at the end of this movie. Horrible. And you have to go through a pretty good while of it too. So that was not enjoyable. Last negative that I have to state about this movie. There were some answers that could have been given towards the end of the movie. But something happens. And those answers are never revealed. The answers to everything are never revealed. And I really, truly believe that we needed more context into what was going on, because it was an open end. It was an open end. And sometimes an open end in a movie is a good thing. Not in this case. I really needed some answers, okay? I really needed answers to why this happened, why that happened. I think that would have made us a lot better. This movie would have had a lot more to it if you would have just gave us a little something to go off, a little more to go off of towards the end. I needed more explanation. I'm not going to say everything or what's going on, but it really, whatever, with what was given, they still needed more. They still need to give you more at that end. There were some things that were, brought to the light, whatever. But no, that's not enough. That wasn't enough for me, honestly. Okay, I needed a lot more to that. And for that little fumble, I'm going to have to give this an I. Yes, an I. I was going to give it an I, cool, because I really enjoyed some of those scenes in the movie. But when you watch the end, that just ruins a lot of things that they had set up, they were building up to. You built all this up. Even the dream sequences in this movie. I thought that was going to mean a whole lot more, but it came to just some babble. It was just trash. It was trash at the end. It meant nothing. It meant nothing. It's getting that eye, man. It deserves that eye. Not saying you shouldn't watch it. Watch this movie, because I think I'm going to watch it over again. I enjoyed watching it, but it could have been a whole lot better. It could have been a whole lot better. Better written towards the end. I want you to press that like button, share, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't. I'm going to be back, you know this.